Brings us to action items, and this evening we have one action item, that's 7.1, and it's a National Homeless Youth Awareness Month resolution. Could I get a motion to put that resolution on the floor? Kristen.
Let's see. I recommend the approval of a resolution in support of November as National Homeless Youth Awareness Month 2021.
Okay, very good. And a second from Nate Donovan. And with that, Kristen, would you like to read the resolution for us, please?
A resolution in support of November as National Homeless Youth Awareness Month 2021. Whereas National Homeless Youth Awareness Month was first declared in November of 2007. Since then, November has been a time to acknowledge those children and families experiencing hunger and homelessness. Sorry, were we going to do an introduction first? Okay. All right. Whereas in the 2019-2020 school year, 1,290 K through 12 students in Poudre School District were experiencing homelessness. And then in the 2020-2021 school year, there were 1,312, and there are 889 as of October 11th, 2021. Whereas the McKinney-Vento Act is designed to provide students experiencing homelessness with resources and protections that remove all educational barriers with emphasis on educational enrollment, attendance, and success. And whereas the purpose of the proclamation is to educate the public about the many reasons students are hungry and homeless, including the shortage of affordable housing within the Poudre School District, and to encourage support for homeless assistance service providers, as well as community service opportunities for students and school service organizations. And whereas there are many organizations committed to providing shelter, support services, meals, and food supplies to students in the Poudre School District experiencing homelessness, including McBackpack Food Program, the Food Bank of Larimer County, the United Way of Larimer County, the Family Housing Network, Catholic Charities, and housing partners such as Housing Catalyst, Neighbor to Neighbor, Care Housing, and others. And whereas the Poudre School District Board of Education staff and community recognize that hunger and homelessness continues to be a serious problem for many students and families in the Poudre School District. Now therefore be it resolved that the Poudre School District Board of Education hereby proclaims November 2021 as National Homeless Youth Awareness Month. Be it further resolved that the Poudre School District Board of Education encourages our community to recognize that many students and families do not have housing and adequate food and need support from our community with assistance from both private and public nonprofit service entities. Please take time this month to find ways to help our homeless youth in our community.
Thank you, Kristen. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent Kingsley.
Members of the board, this evening, PSD McKinney-Vento Program Specialist, Ms. Whitney Reed, will speak to this resolution. I'm really grateful that she's here. Whitney does an incredible job, amongst others, in our community supporting students and families who are experiencing homelessness. Welcome, Whitney.
Good evening, Superintendent Kingsley and Board of Education. My name is Whitney Reed, and I'm the McKinney-Vento Program Specialist in the Department of Language, Culture, and Equity. I'd like to start by thanking the board for recognizing Homeless Youth Awareness Month. Throughout this simple act, you are supporting our most vulnerable students and families by spreading awareness of youth homelessness throughout our community. This awareness is a critical component of addressing needs within our community and our schools, and ultimately providing the necessary resources that are essential to ensure the success of PSD students who are experiencing homelessness and housing insecurity. McKinney-Vento is a federal law that requires all school districts to identify and support students in our community who don't have fixed, regular, or adequate housing. On average, we identify over 1,100 students a year in Poudre School District. Our McKinney-Vento students and their families live and survive in a variety of circumstances, ranging from being doubled up with family or friends because they've lost or cannot afford housing, to staying in emergency and long-term shelters and safe houses, to living out of hotels, RVs, cars, campgrounds, and even on the street. The cause of their homelessness is wide-ranging, but it doesn't take much to tip the scales for many families. The loss of a job, a serious medical issue, a youth experiencing family conflict, or fleeing domestic violence can all be tipping points for families living paycheck to paycheck. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on our students and families as well. More than a year and a half in, the consequences of the pandemic are still being felt. For most vulnerable families, a week or two of work lost to a positive COVID test or to a precautionary COVID quarantine can be the difference between making rent or having enough to cover a hotel stay or coming short for the month and having nowhere else to turn. As you can imagine, students facing youth homelessness encounter a host of barriers to accessing education. Technological access, a stable home environment in which to study and work, and transportation to and from school are things that an average PSD student takes for granted. Yet, they're all things that present significant barriers to education for those experiencing homelessness. And that's to say nothing of the mental and physical barriers posed by hunger, stress, and trauma that often go hand in hand with not having a home. PSD's programming focuses on removing barriers wherever and whenever possible via the free and reduced lunch programs, immediate enrollment, busing, material assistance, community partnerships, and extra educational supports that lift up homeless youth and allow students who are experiencing homelessness an equitable opportunity to achieve success and pursue post-secondary options. That work cannot be done without the incredible support and effort of so many amazing PSD professionals. From our McKinney-Vento contacts that we have at every site, nutrition service staff, bus drivers and routers, to teachers recognizing the needs of our students in their classroom, our work is driven by the care of our incredible PSD family at large. We also can't do this work without the incredible support of our community, individual stakeholders that donate to our program, and community nonprofits that work towards sustainable futures. We thank you for your partnership. Finally, it's important to recognize and celebrate the families that we serve. They continuously inspire us with their resiliency, determination, and love for their children. By acknowledging Homeless Youth Awareness Month and supporting our McKinney-Vento program, PSD's Board of Education helps make all these efforts possible and make a huge difference in the lives of families we serve. So for that, we thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I'm going to open it up to board comments, questions, anything else?
I would just echo the thanks for the work that you're doing also, and all the staff that I know your peers and John are doing to help our students in need. So I think that's great work, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Any other comments? DJ?
I want to just take a moment to thank not only our staff, but all of the great partners that we have in our community. It is such a huge problem to try to be able to find the right way to meet these needs of these families. And I am overwhelmed at times by the generosity of some people to step up and help. And I really thought your comment about the parents was great too, because those parents are stepping outside themselves a little bit and realizing they need some help to make sure their kids are getting their education. And that's a huge step. And so it is a problem that I wish was not there and that we could easily solve. But I'm so happy that our school district plays a vital role and works hard to help those kids. So I thank you and your team for all the work that you guys do, and thank you so much to our partners out there in the community that help us.
Great comment. Thank you, DJ. Other board members? Kristen?
Yeah, I'd want to echo that sentiment, DJ, of just thanking our partners and making this visible. I think a lot of times it's easy to ignore, it's easy to pretend not to see. And I think that PSD and their partners make sure that all of our students are seen and that they're heard and they're, treated equitably and equally. And that's something that's huge for us and huge for those students. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing that, and I truly appreciate that. And thank you to the community partners that do that as well.
Thank you, Kristen. The board members, go ahead, Carolyn.
So I had the opportunity this weekend to talk to a mother who had moved here about 2 months ago from Arizona. Her boyfriend had gotten a job up here, and so they decided to move up here because when they were in Arizona, they couldn't find a good job that they could live on. So they moved up here expecting to be able to get an apartment and maybe get their life going again. But the mother had had an eviction during COVID. And so they could not get into any housing. Nobody would take them. And so they found themselves unexpectedly homeless. And they had 2 small children, and they are attending one of our district schools. And the mother shared with me her experience with the district and the services that she was able to access for her student who had an IEP, and the different services that the counselor helped to get hooked up with. And they were hoping to work with a counselor to get into some kind of permanent housing. But what she shared with me was that it was like so overwhelming when she got here, when she realized that things were not going to work out like they expected. They ended up homeless. They had brought up a camper. They ended up having to sell it. They're living in a hotel right now. And these are the things that happen to people. These are real stories about when people get here and things that happen to them that they don't expect. And you know, she did not know when she was talking to me that I was on the school board when she was sharing with me her experiences. But I was really touched about how many people had reached out to her to help her, and so I really appreciate everything the district did for her as well.
Thank you, Kristen. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize the last statement in the resolution, which is about reaching, what we can all do to help these folks, right? I mean, as I said earlier, it's terrific, and what Carolyn emphasizes is terrific, what the district is able to do. But each of us as individuals is able to help as well. There are plenty of volunteer opportunities out there. I volunteer every week with McBackpack, which is a program that helps to provide food for some of our kids who are hungry. You could join that group. There are plenty of other groups that help. Pardon me?
Matthew's house.
Yeah, Matthew's House. There are plenty of other organizations and groups that are trying to help, and they need bodies and they need money. So I encourage you to think how you can help as well. Thank you.
Other board comments? Okay. I think I'll say something slightly different. I echo the thank you, Ms. Reed, for presenting. Kristen, for graciously doing the work to bring these resolutions before us. I think it's vital that we slow down every once in a while with these resolutions to remind ourselves of what we're doing in the district. But I truly appreciate, once again, the comments you opened up with today, Mr. Kingsley. I view the work of the district to be an investment in our economy, in our children, and what it takes to serve every person in the community. Working against homelessness is all-encompassing, and it takes action. And I think our board, in supporting the work of you and your staff in reaching out into the community and doing what I hope is going to amplify the services we have, is vital to the solution. We will sit here years into the future doing this, but I believe that this work that we're undertaking will make a big difference. So I thank you for coming forward and speaking to the cause, for the board to bring this resolution, but most importantly for the district and the staff that are going to do the work to carry us forward and make a big difference. If there are no more comments, I would turn it over to a roll call vote, please.
DJ Anderson,
Aye.
Nate Donovan,
Aye.
Christian Draper,
Aye.
Christoph Bev,
Aye.
Rob Pedersen,
Aye.
Carolyn Reed,
Aye.
Jessica Zamora.
Aye.
Motion passed 7-0.